My parents threatened to cut me out of their will for defending my partner. Hurt and betrayed, I fought back by standing my ground, building my own future, and proving I don't need their approval to thrive. My name is Allison, and I'm 32 years old. I never thought I'd end up in a situation like this, caught between the people I love most in the world, trying to keep everything from falling apart. My life used to feel pretty steady. I've been with my boyfriend, William, for 4 years now. He's 35, kind-hearted, and the type of guy who'd drop everything to help someone in need. He works as a mechanic, always coming home with grease on his hands and a tired smile on his face. We've built a good life together in our small apartment, talking about marriage someday when the timing feels right. But lately, everything's been a mess, and it all started with my parents. My mom and dad are in their late 60s. They're the kind of people who've worked hard their whole lives. Dad was a factory supervisor, and mom stayed home raising me and my younger brother, Benjamin. They've always been strict, proud, and stubborn as hell. They've got strong opinions about how life should be lived, and they don't take kindly to anyone challenging them. Benjamin, who's 28, still lives close to them and usually goes along with whatever they say. He's quieter than me, a little shy, and works as an accountant. He's never been one to rock the boat. Then there's Natalia, William's sister. She's 33, bold, and outspoken, pretty much the opposite of Benjamin. She's a nurse, and she's always been protective of William, especially since their parents passed away years ago. She's become like a sister to me too, but her sharp tongue has caused some trouble along the way. The main problem started about 6 months ago. My parents never really warmed up to William. They've made little comments here and there over the years. How he's not ambitious enough because he didn't go to college, or how he's too rough around the edges for me. I brushed it off at first, figuring they'd come around eventually. But things got worse when William and I started talking about moving in together permanently and maybe buying a house. My parents didn't like that. They thought I was throwing my life away on someone who didn't fit their idea of success. It all came to a head one Sunday at their house during dinner. Benjamin was there, picking at his food like usual, and I'd brought William along, hoping we could have a normal family night. Mom started asking William about his job, again. So still fixing cars, huh? Don't you ever think about doing something more stable? She said, her tone dripping with judgment. William just shrugged and said, I like what I do. Keeps me busy. That should have been the end of it, but then Dad chimed in. Busy doesn't mean successful. Allison deserves someone who can provide, not just scrape by. I felt my face heat up. William didn't deserve this. He works hard, harder than most people I know, and he's never once complained about it. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. He does provide, I said, my voice louder than I meant it to be. He's good to me, and that's what matters. You don't get to decide who's right for me. The room went silent. Benjamin stared at his plate, and William squeezed my hand under the table. Mom's eyes narrowed, and Dad leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. Watch your tone, Allison, Mom said. We're just looking out for you. You're our daughter, and we don't want you making mistakes you'll regret. That's when I snapped. The only mistake here is you treating William like he's not good enough. He's part of my life, and you need to respect that. Dad slammed his hand on the table, making the glasses rattle. Respect? You're the one disrespecting us, defending him over your own family. If that's how it's going to be, maybe you don't belong in this family anymore. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then Mom dropped the bomb. If you're choosing him over us, don't expect to see a dime from us when we're gone. We'll cut you out of the will. My stomach dropped. They weren't bluffing. I could see it in their faces. Benjamin finally looked up, his eyes wide, but he didn't say a word. William tried to step in, saying, Look, I don't want to cause trouble, but Dad cut him off. You've caused enough already. We left that night without finishing dinner. In the car, William kept apologizing, saying he didn't mean to stir things up. I told him it wasn't his fault. My parents were the ones being unreasonable. But deep down, I was shaken. Losing my place in their will wasn't just about money. It was about them cutting me out of their lives, like I didn't matter anymore. I'd always been close to them growing up, and now it felt like that bond was breaking. The next few weeks were rough. I couldn't stop thinking about what they'd said. Part of me was furious. They had no right to control my life like that. But another part of me was scared. What if they really went through with it? My parents aren't rich, but they've got a decent amount saved up, and I'd always assumed Benjamin and I would split it someday. Now, It looked like he'd get everything, and I'd be left with nothing. It wasn't just the money. It was the rejection that stung the most. Then another problem piled on. Benjamin called me one night, sounding nervous. "Mom and Dad keep asking me what I think about you and William," he said. "They want me to take their side, but I don't know what to say." I could hear the guilt in his voice. Benjamin's never been good at standing up to them, and now they were dragging him into this mess. "Just tell them what you really think," I said. "You know William's a good guy." He sighed. "I do, but they're not going to like that. They're already mad enough." That's when I realized this wasn't just about me and my parents anymore. They were pulling Benjamin into it, trying to turn him against me too. I didn't want him stuck in the middle, but I also didn't want him feeding their anger. It felt like my whole family was slipping away, and I didn't know how to stop it. Things got even more complicated when Natalia found out. William told her what happened, and she was livid. She called me the next day, practically yelling, "Your parents have no business talking to my brother like that. Who do they think they are?" I tried to calm her down, but she wasn't having it. "You need to stand up to them, Allison. If you let this slide, they'll just keep walking all over you." She had a point, but I didn't know what standing up even looked like anymore. Natalia's always been fearless, but I'm not like her. I hate confrontation, and this was tearing me apart. A few days later, she took it a step further. She posted about it online, not naming names, but it was obvious who she was talking about. "Some people think they can judge others just because they've got a little money to throw around. Family doesn't work like that," she wrote. My parents saw it. Mom called me, furious. "Is this what your boyfriend's family thinks of us? You're letting them trash us online now." I tried to explain that I didn't ask Natalia to do it, but she wouldn't listen. "You've made your choice, Allison. Don't come crying to us when it all falls apart." Now I had two messes to deal with. My parents threatening to cut me off, and Natalia's big mouth making them even angrier. William felt terrible about it, but I told him it wasn't his fault. Still, I could see the stress wearing on him. He started working longer hours, like he was trying to prove something, to my parents, or maybe to himself. I hated seeing him like that. I spent a lot of nights lying awake, trying to figure out what to do. Part of me wanted to apologize to my parents, smooth things over, and keep the peace. But every time I thought about it, I got mad all over again. Why should I have to beg them to accept the man I love? They were the ones being unfair, not me. I talked to Benjamin about it, hoping he'd back me up, but he just said, "I don't know, Allison. They're pretty set on this. Maybe if you gave them some time." Time wasn't going to fix this. They'd made that clear. Then there was the practical side. If they cut me out of the will, it wouldn't ruin me financially. William and I do okay, but it'd still hurt. I'd always pictured using that money someday to help us start a family or buy a house. Now, that future felt uncertain. And what about Benjamin? If he sided with them, would I lose him too? The thought of being the odd one out in my own family made my chest ache. One day, I decided I'd had enough of sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I needed a plan, something smart, something that'd let me keep my dignity and my relationship with William without losing everything else. I started by talking to William. "We're not going to let them control us," I said. "If they want to cut me off, fine. We'll build our own life." He looked relieved, like he'd been waiting for me to say that. "I've got your back, Allison." "Always," he said. That gave me the push I needed. Next, I called Benjamin. "I'm not asking you to pick a side," I told him, "but I need you to be honest with me. Do you think I'm wrong for sticking by William?" He was quiet for a minute, then said, "No. I think Mom and Dad are being too hard on him. I just don't know how to tell them that." I felt a little lighter hearing him say it. "You don't have to fight my battles," I said. "Just don't let them turn you against me, okay?" He promised he wouldn't, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I still had my brother. Dealing with Natalia was trickier. I met her for coffee and laid it out straight. "I appreciate you defending William, but that post made things worse. Can you just cool it for a while?" She rolled her eyes but nodded. "Fine, but if they come at him again, I'm not staying quiet." I could live with that. She's family now too, and I didn't want to push her away. The hardest part was figuring out what to do about my parents. I didn't want to cut them off completely. They're still my mom and dad, and I love them. But I couldn't let them think they'd won either. So I wrote them a letter. I kept it simple, nothing dramatic. "I'm not choosing William over you," I wrote. "I'm choosing the life I want, and he's part of it. I hope you can accept that someday. But if you can't, I'm not going to let it ruin me. I still love you, and I'm here if you ever want to talk." I mailed it and left it at that. No begging, no yelling, just the truth. A few weeks passed, and I didn't hear back. I figured that was it. They'd made up their minds. But then one day, Benjamin called. "Mom read your letter," he said. She cried. "Dad's still mad, but I think it got to her. It wasn't much, but it was something. Maybe they'd come around eventually. Maybe they wouldn't. Either way, I wasn't going to wait around for their approval anymore." Looking back, I'm grateful for how it all turned out. Yeah, it hurt like hell, and there are still days when I miss how things used to be with my parents. But standing up for William, and for myself, made me stronger. We're doing fine on our own. William's even talking about proposing soon, and I've never felt more sure about us. Benjamin's still in my corner, and Natalia's calmed down a bit. My parents might never fully get it, but I've got a family of my own now, the one I chose. So that's my story. I'd love to hear what you think. Was there a better way to handle it? Should I have done something different with my parents, or with Benjamin and Natalia? I feel good about where I'm at, but I'm always open to advice. What would you have done in my shoes?
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily updates.